Okay, so a very warm welcome to everyone watching this, and we hope you have been looking after yourselves and one another. So today, the 9th of May, is the start of Mental Health Awareness Week, and this annual event provides a platform to share conversations around mental health, to recognise the things in our daily lives that can affect it, and to offer practical advice and support on how to improve your mental health. Now, the theme of this year's campaign is loneliness, affecting more and more of us in the UK and having a huge impact on our physical and mental health during the pandemic. Now, our connection to other people and our community is fundamental to protecting our mental health, and we need to find better ways of tackling the epidemic of loneliness. So today, the team at BuildForce are taking steps and raising awareness of the impact of loneliness and how to identify it and the practical steps we can take to address it. So we extend a very warm welcome to our guest, Rebecca Brisley, who recently penned an incredible note on LinkedIn, sharing the experience of her husband, ex-Royal Marine, Anthony. So good to have you both here. And we also welcome our resident psychologist, Bernie Graham. So welcome to you all. So Rebecca, for those who don't know, in the last few weeks, you posted an article on LinkedIn. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so it was something I've been thinking about for a little while, and it was just a way of recognising really Anthony's journey in the last sort of 4 years since he left the Marines. But I've been a bystander to this journey, and he's sort of gone full circle, and it's been really good for you, hasn't it? I think it's been a really difficult journey. But I just wanted to put in black and white something that said to him, we're really proud. We see you've gone through this journey. I've watched. I'm with you. And we're really proud that you've come full circle and you've identified what it is that you need to be happy in the future.
I was going to follow on from that. I mean, the posting has had an amazing response. I mean, it was running into the thousands last time I looked. I mean, Anthony, how do you feel about your experiences being shared on social media?
I'm all for it. There's, from my perspective, there probably is a lot of help out there, but I never knew that anyone else was going through that. And the comments that I've read through, I started trying to reply to a few. It was just, there were so many. You know, the amount of, especially service leavers or people still in there that are just coming to leave are at a loss. They're completely on their own. They feel lonely. They don't know where to go, what to do. And it was a common thread the whole way through. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm happy to share this. You know what I mean? We've all got our faults, and I'm happy to lay bare if it helps one other person, then it's a success, surely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go on. That's okay.
I think that was the point, was to say, you know, even somebody who is really strong, has got that amazing support network and community, it doesn't matter if you've got all of those things in place, it can still be really hard. And you have found it really hard, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been massively difficult. I mean, for it to be shared on social media, like I say, and everyone to sort of realise that and go, and all the people saying, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. How is this happening? And there are things in place, but actually, to my knowledge, or what was told to me when I first left, none of it actually came to fruition. It was just, yeah, these people will help, they'll help, you can do this, you can do that, you can do the other. And when you're knocking those doors, they're like, nah. And you're like, oh, shit, no, I've got to do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go down that route of on your own, everyone's against you, you're just trying to fight the good fight and failing.
I mean, how difficult do you think it is for veterans and service leavers to open up about sensitive subjects like this, like loneliness or other emotional challenges?
I think it is. I don't know. There's a lot of bravado in the services. There's a lot of bravado, and it's whether you're comfortable in your own skin, you know, or whether you're happy for people to look at you and be, oh, whatever. There's quite a few videos out there now of people that have done your Afghans and everything else like that, and they're being very honest about it. And I think that's a real acceptance that when you go to Afghan and do stuff, it's difficult, and you can have scars from that for a long time, and everyone accepts that. But when you start talking about loneliness or isolation, again, you can argue it's a little bit of weakness. You know, so people are like, oh, actually, it's Afghan related. And then you're going down the wrong solution route where it's not Afghan related. It's loneliness and just like I'm on my own, because you spend that whole time in a massively tight team, and now you're flying solo and you're like, all right.
It's grief, I think. I think there's an element of grief from that loss of community and team, and having to deal with that grief and feeling quite lonely, because you've moved away from the team, at the same time as trying to re-establish yourself on Civvy Street. And it's a very, very difficult transition to make when you add all of those things in.
Yeah. No, how long was it before working alone became a problem, Anthony? How long was it?
I think so. I left and I went into a building, a firm called Mr. Builder, which is a friend of mine. I mean, which is great. It's still a sort of team, but it was a long journey. It was all right. And then, because ultimately I got paid pennies, and it was an hour's journey in the morning, an hour's back, I went on my own. I was like, I was capable enough. And initially it was fine. It was like the stress of the job. Well, actually, I think even from the very off, we like, I'm going to do this, and this, you're associating the stress of the job with your emotional feelings. You're thinking, oh yeah, this is outrageous because of this. I've got to get this done. I've got to get that done. Whereas actually, and there's no one to bounce off of, you know, and you're like, oh, should we do it this way? Because there's no one to ask. And so you go a bit further, you get a bit more kit, you can work a bit harder, a bit longer. And then straight away, I'm leaving for work at 6:30 in the morning. I'm coming home at 6:30 in the evening, and I'm going out to price a job until 8 o'clock at night. And so my whole life then revolves around this job on my own, and you're just miserable. And so it's over decreasing circles. To identify when I first pinged it was loneliness, that wasn't probably for a good couple of years.
Yeah. I said from fairly early on, I don't think this is the job for you forever.
Yeah. What do they know? What do women know? Yeah.
But it's that even I'm not sure I identified it as loneliness. I think you the front of that was actually stress. You found it very stressful. You didn't sleep very well.
No.
You worried.
Yeah.
I think you worried about making a mistake, and how people would perceive you if you made a mistake.
Well, yeah, because in the military, like that, you don't make mistakes, and if you do, people will. If it's an honest mistake, happy days. If it's a failure or lack of skill, and you failed, then that needs to be retaught, and you go back, you get retaught, and you crack on, and you be good again. Whereas in building, they're like, in theory, he's done that wrong. Well, I'm not going to have him back, and you're like, and that's your whole business finished. And so therein comes the worry, and then the stress. But again, you know, coming back to this insular, like one person feeling of the stress is more because there's no one there to talk to, there's no one to bounce off, you know. And when I did get labourers or stuff like that, like ad hoc to help me out, they were very much just a labourer, and they were like, yeah, I'm doing as little as I can for as much money as I can, and I don't care. And which is another stress which comes into the loneliness, which comes into everything else. And it's ever decreasing circles, you're just spiraling, really. And that was the building side. And then I think for the realization for me was when I got the franchise. I was doing the franchise, and it was financially very good money. I was like, this is just horrific. I just can't do this. You know, I just really can't do this. You know, I'm going to stop. I'm going to drive lorries again on your own, you know, and like everything else. And finally listen to mother-in-law and Becky, for that matter, saying, why don't we have a service? Because money isn't everything. And that's pretty much where I am now, you know. And but yeah, I mean, that 4 years is, I wouldn't say dark, you know what I mean? We had our troubles because of that, because of the loneliness and the stress and everything else like that. And that was, I mean, she put up with 18 years of me being in the Corps, which is no mean feat. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned sleeping problems. What other ways did it impact on your well-being?
I don't know.
From the outside in, there was real unhappiness in many respects, an inability to leave your work at the door when you came in, quite angry, not not in a vicious way, but shouting more at the children than we probably needed to, and it was a real general unhappiness, and you would sink into you'd focus on one thing that you worried about, and you just couldn't move away from it. You became tunnel vision on that one issue, and you just would you'd spend every evening on the internet looking for solutions, looking at YouTube videos, instead of bigger picture. Actually, I'll deal with that when I get to work tomorrow. You just couldn't get yourself out of it.
No. Because it was all on me.
No enjoyment then of any of the downtime. There was no laughing at the kid, what the kids are doing, or let's put everything down and just go to the park, or it was you just couldn't leave it.
No, it was I was pretty much in it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just miserable. That was it, really, the whole time. And exactly that.
No, thank you for that. I know that's quite a difficult thing to talk about. Now, at BuildForce, from Angela's introduction, when we are supporting service leavers and veterans, it's in a transition usually from a platoon, a regiment, whatever, into a construction company where there are other people you're working as part of a group. Now, maybe a difficult one, and hindsight's always 2020. But Anthony, do you think if you would have gone into an environment with colleagues, some of them may have been veterans, do you think the situation may have been different for you?
So I love bricklaying. I'm an extra instructor, so it's super. There's nice straight lines up and down. There's level, plumb, range.
There's a rule.
There's a rule. You do it like this. There's no other way. So you're like, brilliant. I love it. And I say I work for Mr. Builder, so I actually signed up to do an apprentice, and they were going to pay me an apprenticeship's wages. I don't care. I'm not worried about the money. I just want to go on site with the lads and do that. And I phoned up to him and said, yeah, but I don't want to cut block and just get gear on all day. I actually want to lay some brick and block. And then suddenly they didn't have space for me. So I was like, okay, fine. But with hindsight, if I knew obviously BuildForce was there, it's been here for 11 years, but my knowledge of it wasn't there. And if I want to go bricklaying, I'd probably still be on a trail now and happy, because you're on site with the lads in a work, that sort of environment, just 9 to 5, no stress. There's 500 bricks there. Get them on the wall. Sharing
experiences, brilliant. Sharing problems, problem solving together, I think would have suited you more. And you quite liked working for Mr. Builder, but that was only ever the plan for that was only ever short term, really, wasn't it?
It was short term
for you to learn.
Margins. Yeah, it's to learn the margins, because ultimately, in my first instance when I was coming to leave, every bricklaying firm or everyone I spoke to about becoming a bricklayer didn't want a 40-year-old bricklayer. They didn't want it. And so I was like, I built my extension, which if we're on Facebook or something, you can see I've built from the ground up. The only thing I haven't done is the gas and the electric. So everything, the roofing. So I'm a handy guy, and I used to send out photos of what I'd done in my block work and everything to bricklaying firms, and nothing ever came back.
And that in itself was a lonely experience for you, wasn't it? Trying to work out where to go when you left. You knew you wanted to leave. He knew that he was coming to his 22 years. You had the offer of an extension, but you just wanted to be at home. But trying to find your way from one to the other was difficult, and even securing the funding to get your MVQ on your EVT was really hard. And you had to go away and speak to lots of different people.
And at the time I was a sergeant major, so I could go in, not bully my way through. I could go into the UPO and be like, I need my money for my qualifications here, there, Bishop and Bosch. But people leaving the military at corporal level, marine level, private, whatever level it be, at the lower end of the scale, should we say, lower being a bit crass, but you get my meaning. They can't just go into the UPO, in essence, not bully their way in and be, I need my money. They'll, okay, yeah, sure thing, yeah, rather they'll be like, get out. and that's the reality, you know. And I think, but I mean, Mr. Builder was, Cement told me they wouldn't take me. I was supposed to start Cement in the January after Christmas leave, and Cement turned me off on Boxing Day. So I had no job then, and then it was only James, who we were going skiing with, my friend, we were going skiing with at the time, said, "Hold on, I'll phone my boss." Phoned his boss, and then I went to work for him as a labourer. So it really got me out of a bind. But potentially, if it weren't for me knowing a mate who had a very good mate that could get me a job, January, February, that was it, nothing.
I think it's a testament to your resilience, though, that you kept going and knocking on people's doors and trying to work out where to go. It is such a shame now that you didn't have the knowledge of BuildForce, because it would have been a perfect solution.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's literally. I mean, I know loads of people leaving. They keep asking me advice about going on the tools and stuff, and it's only since obviously that was shared. Now BuildForce. I mean, obviously, I'm not looking at direction anymore, and I'm in the ambulance, and I've just been doing blue lights all week, and it's been 4 weeks. It's been amazing, but but yeah, you know, the amount of people that are leaving the military want to go into a construction environment. I suppose it's awareness again of this.
Yeah, it's not, and it's about, you know, we're trying to promote it, and you doing this with us this morning really, really helps. It really does. Brilliant. Now, you said, you know, your mother-in-law gave you some guidance, and Rebecca gave you some guidance.
Yeah.
What was sort of the turning point? Was that the turning point when someone actually said to you, "Anthony, I think you should do this," or were you getting there yourself?
No, I didn't get there myself at all. That was it. I was completely focused again, very single-minded. And when you're on your own, and again, I keep like you, it's about loneliness. So reverting back to that, I'm here on my own. I'm in that little bubble, and no matter what's going on outside, I'm in this bubble, and I won't listen to anyone, and it's really hard. Especially, and then when I was in the franchise, and the higher echelons of the franchise were the management. They've been very, very difficult and given me a subpar product that I'd have to go back on my own time and my own money to make good so it worked properly. And it was just, I was sitting in a chair over there and just going like that, this is, and going mad. And obviously, you know, you get the old cheap cop TV stuff and, you know, just stuff in the background. So we couldn't sit down and watch TV or together. Well, Becky could. I'd just sit there and just roll my eyes and just pretend what's going on. I'd just be in a different world. And then we were watching an ambulance thing. And I think I said, "Oh, yeah, that looks like a hoofing job." And Becky was like, "Oh, well, just do it." And I was like, "Well," and obviously, and Mum had said it, well, before I even left. And I wasn't going to do it because it was only 18, 19 grand a year. And I was like, "I ain't going to do this." And then Becky said it again here, and I was like, "Oh, well, nah, you know, 20 grand a year, whatever it is. Seriously, do it for nothing because we can't carry on like this." And that was I think it was more over the fact when Becky turned around and said, "Look, we can't, as a family, we can't carry on with you as you are. It's just not going to work." And I left the Marine, spent time with my family, and if I carried on the way I was, I'll be living in a bed sit in Plymouth on my own and only seeing my kids every other weekend because that's the route we were going. And then I applied straight away, got some good answers, got all the way through, got to interview, passed the interview, and they're like, "Brilliant, you're in." And from that moment on, it changed. Even though I was still doing a bit of franchise, I got back on the trail because I sold the franchise, and a few builders that I'd worked with or seen my work was desperate to get me on the trail, and I did. And that was it. And I was just waiting for the ambulance to knock on the door, and that was the realization. It was I couldn't get myself, going back to your original point. I'm rambling, aren't I? Good. Going back to your original point, Bernie, is I couldn't get myself out of that mire. I needed to be prodded, and I'm lucky I had the support network here to do so. You know, and the other considerations is shift work and everything else. Becky's mum and dad do a lot of childcare for us, and that's cool. They would carry on doing that, and the perfect storm in essence, really. But it took someone to literally give me a big ass slap to snap out of it. There was no way I'd have just gone down and down and down and down, and who knows where that would have ended. And that's the real worry, you know. So
how long have you been working with the ambulance service now?
5 weeks. Woo! Yeah.
So how are you both doing now? How does it feel now?
Well, from my point of view, it's brilliant. I'm top of the world. I'm relaxed. I'm happy. Having fun with the eldest. The bottom one, the youngest one, is still a massive trial, isn't she?
She's 2.
She's 2.
I think from day one of him going back to putting on a uniform and working with a group of like-minded people has seen a huge lift in him. He's excited to come home every day and tell me what he's been doing. Looking forward to the next day and getting on with more learning and just a delightful change for the better.
I thought you had a delightful person then. I was like, you never said that.
No.
Sure, that's true. And a question to you, Rebecca, for those military spouses watching this, what advice would you give them if they're experiencing the same thing at the moment?
I think I would say speak to other people around you. Speak to people who have been through the journey already. Know that you're not alone. And accept the fact that it is going to be a journey and you're not necessarily going to hit on the right thing straight away. And you've got to run with it and work out what is right for you.
It's a guy called Taff Hicks. When we met him in town, a Matlow mate of mine. And I come up and he said, "Oh, yeah, I'm leaving soon." He goes, "Oh, Briz, yeah, cool. What are you going to do?" So I'm in business, be a builder, I'm in a business, going to be hoofing and make millions. He's like, "Yeah, all right." I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Mate, you do 4 jobs and then you find what you're doing." I was like, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're a Matlow for a start. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm doing. I'll be a builder. I'm going to be a multi-millionaire builder. That's what I'm going to do." Like, yeah, cool. 4 jobs later, I'm in the ambulance, happy. I mean, who knew? So he was very much, but even then, that was always in my head when I finally went to the ambulance. And he's a friend of mine from years back, like from 2000. I never talked to him about it. I never gave him a call and said, "Mate, actually, you're right." I still just like closed door, flying solo. It's that trying to snap out of it, which all could have been alleviated if from day one they're like, "Right, you're not going to go from a team to a singular individual very well. We've got this BuildForce. Why don't you come and have a go at some chipping, some plastering, some bricking, or management?" I think that's the project management. A couple of my friends do that now. But yeah.
I think you felt like you had to do everything alone and make a success of it. And that was, in hindsight, the worst possible thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think potentially there's still a little bit of stigma about saying I'm gonna hang around and make contact with the people that say that they'll put the support in. I don't know, it's difficult because we speak from the perspective of Royal Marines.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a real feeling that, well, I'm all right. I can do it. I can do everything on my own. I don't need anybody else. But you do need the team of people and that community around you.
Yeah.
And a question to you, Anthony, through lived experience, is there any advice around mental health that you would like to correct or labour home?
It's not just about PTSD with veterans. Yeah. I think that's exactly it, is that straight away, I said it the other week, in my first week, we would do the old, 2 truths and a lie, we talk around the room in the ambulance, like, yeah. And I mentioned something about, I'm here now, I had a really good job, but obviously, sort of my mental health, I'm here. And nearly everyone in the room was like, Afghanistan. I was like, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, Afghanistan wasn't exactly rose gardens, but nothing to do with Afghanistan. And I've got a very good friend of mine who's got some quite big mental health issues. Nothing to do with Afghanistan. Even though we've both done multiple tours, That's the big thing, actually. If you mental health from a military perspective, everyone perceives it to be Afghanistan or Iraq, a big firefight, shocking explosion, but it's not. So when I stand and say, yeah, I've got mental health issues, people are like, oh yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about that to do with Afghan. You're like, no. In essence, like Becky said, I need a cuddle. I don't need a cuddle, but you know what I mean. I need someone to like give me a slap and be like, no, this is loneliness. You're not angry for not being good. You're lonely. This is a real, especially in military environments, spend all your time really connected with really good friends that do anything for you or each other. Suddenly, not suddenly, but ultimately it feels like it. Bang, they're all gone. They're still wearing uniform. They're still cracking on and having the Peter Pan lifestyle. And you're just there going, shit, right, I've got to do this. And you do it and whatnot. And if you do look for mental health, in fact, I said it at a do I went to at 4-2. And yeah, I've struggled for a good few years. And so I was like, oh, mate, go and speak to these guys. They gave me a PTS form. And I was just like, I'd already applied for the ambulance. And I was like, going in. So I was coming better. And I said, I'm in a good place now. Yeah, speak to these guys. They're really good with PTSD. And I'm like, no, it's not PTSD. I don't have PTSD. People talk about complex PTSD and other stuff that isn't associated with Afghanistan. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm flying solo and I need someone to give me a pat on the back, point me in the right direction and see where I am. That's probably the misconception with mental health in the military. Yeah, but it's a big issue.
And to Bernie then, so how do you spot it in others? What should everybody be looking for?
I think change, if you know the person well, you've got a starting point. It's about change. Some of the things Rebecca was talking about, picking up on things is not your usual self. You're not your usual self. You know, maybe if someone's quite talkative, when Anthony's not talkative at all, is he? But the thing is that, you know, Anthony went quiet or he wasn't talking as much. Or if, you know, I get the idea you like quite a social person if you don't want to mix with people. You know, or people are switching off. So it depends on the individual. And it will be things, you know, obviously it's about people being really upset, being angry, maybe the odd tear. So it's picking up on just people experiencing difficulties in their own way. So those are the kind of things you'd pick up. You know, people in distress. I mean, I get sick to death, and Angela knows this about giving someone a diagnosis. People struggle, they're troubled, they get into distress. How do we pick up on that? They're not their usual self. They don't look happy. You know, they're downcast. There may be posture things, looking down, all of those kind of things. So I'd really like to echo what Anthony said, because there is this almost knee-jerk thing, oh, military, it's got to be post-traumatic stress disorder. And there are so many variations of, you know, what can happen to you. And it's looking for a diagnosis, which can be very helpful. But if people just focused on, the guy's not happy, or she's struggling a bit, forget about all the diagnostic stuff, just be there for each other. And I think the things you've talked about are so important, just people being there for you, because as you've been really honest, Anthony, if you wouldn't have had Rebecca and other people, your mother-in-law as well, that does stick in our throat for us blokes, doesn't it? Now, I love my mother-in-law. She's dead, and I love my mother-in-law. But the thing is, having those people there are so important. And it's evidenced by research as well, that having people in your corner when you need them, not in your face all the time when you don't need them, but when you need them, having someone there is so important. And you've got that. You described it with your comrades when you're serving with mates that do anything for you. That's powerful stuff. And you leave that behind, you know, that's going to impact on people. It really can. You're part of a bigger thing. And I'm really, really glad that you're having such a positive time with the ambulance service. Sounds fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic.
I think the reality is as well, the reason it's such a big shock when you do leave and you do leave the military, so everyone's still in there. And I say it to it, I'm as guilty, especially as, so my mate, one of my best mates I've known since recruit training, it was only the other day actually. But when I left, I no longer go to the mess do, so I'm not there. I'm not seen. And I could phone him and be like, mate, any danger? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, cool. Sorry, mate, let's go and do this. But I don't, because straight away I'm like, I'm not a bootneck anymore. I'll go down this way. And then they'll, you know, and you think, I need to get better in myself at doing that, and I always have been bad at that. It's just that's the core.
I think
you get 2 years massive mate, and then you get drafted. You've got new best mates.
That's the thing, is it's transient, and
Yeah.
so you make best friends with people for an 18-month, 2-year draft, and you spend loads of time with them, and then you move on, and you don't see them, they don't see you. You know they're in the background, and if you rang them, they'd happily have a chat or go to the pub with you, but it's out of sight, out of mind. And so when you leave, you're definitely out of sight and out of mind, but they've still got the mess, or whoever it is that they're working with, and you don't.
Yeah, it's that thing about shared experience and being part of it still. And no one does it with bad intention, I'm sure.
Oh no, not at all.
It happens, doesn't it? We all do it in life. It happens. People move on. You're just doing different stuff. You're just doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you come home when you have been to top tables and things, and lots of people say to you, "Oh, I don't know why you've left. You had an extension. I've got an extension. I'm staying until they kick me out." And that's a little bit isolating to say that sort of thing as well. People obviously don't mean to they don't mean to have a negative effect on you, but I think it serves to push you, or feel like you're pushed away a little bit further from that team.
Yeah.
Because you always make a point of saying to me, so and so said, I'm not leaving until I absolutely have to. I can't believe you've gone.
Yeah, that's
and it makes you feel a bit more like an 90% outsider.
Of the people, yeah. Because I did the crazy thing and said for an extension.
Yeah.
But yeah, and everyone now wants to stay in on, because I want to stay in that environment where they're with their mates all the time, I guess.
But it could also be, for some of them, it could also be a reflection of their own anxiety about what's going to happen when they do leave. So it comes full circle again. But what happens during that transition period? What is going to happen? It's a hell of a change. It really is a significant change.
I think the reality is, the amount of money in construction as well, the wages. A lot of people come to leave. They don't. I don't know whether they both work or whatnot. Our financial situation is quite good, but a bricklayer, a qualified bricklayer, can earn an awful lot of money. And that's one of the reasons I was going to go into bricklaying, because it's very financially rewarding. And obviously, the knowledge of what you guys are doing, if you can actually, that is the transition. If people are aware of this, BuildForce, because it's obviously national, like that, just go. They can leave the military, go through you guys, and do that into a building environment, which is very much like the military environment. When I was at Mr. Builder, apart from the fact we had to work Wednesday and Friday afternoon, which took me a couple of weeks to get used to.
I don't think you ever got used to that.
No, but still very much like a troop, a section. Still the lads and a couple of girls. And it was good banter. Great fun, hard day's work, and then of a Friday, swing past a pub, 1 pint, have a chat, take the piss out of each other, and then see you Monday. It was actually really good.
Very healthy. Very healthy.
Yeah, very healthy, and if that was that was an option. This, and I'll say it again, if this BuildForce was an option for me for bricklaying at that point.
It was an option. You just
sorry, yes, it was an option. My fault. Yeah, it was. You've been there for 11 years. Apologies. I was not aware of BuildForce. Had I been aware of BuildForce,
might have had a different experience.
Well, because I went to build Plymouth, which is exactly, or not parity by any means, but I went to her and said, I want to be a bricklayer in the Plymouth area. Tell me what I've got to do.
Not everybody knows, I think, what a veteran's got to offer, and apprenticeship schemes are really difficult, aren't they? Because they're aimed at school leavers up to 25, and that's not you, and it's not many veterans, is it? And you just found it difficult to find that that balance between needing to learn a new skill and finding somebody who is willing to take the time to teach it to a 40-year-old. And that in itself was a really difficult journey, wasn't it? And I think I'm just as guilty as this as you. We focused our priority on money you know, how much can you earn? Because you do, you know, you start your adult lives, you know, you've got to get a mortgage, you've got to pay for childcare, you know, you want to go on holiday, you want to have nice things. And that, in hindsight, we should not have made that the focus. In fact, that's like way down the list of priorities. If you can pay your bills and have a little bit left over, that's fine. And
that's where we are now.
And I'm not sure if somebody had said it to us that we would have listened necessarily. Well, not even, I don't think, I know we wouldn't have listened. But with the power of hindsight now, and knowing how miserable the quest for making money made you, it was just the wrong thing.
And again, those comments on that LinkedIn post, people saying, yeah, give up the money, be happy. And you need money to survive, obviously. Don't do anything, you know what I mean? But find a job which enables you to live your life and be happy. And that's the big thing. I think that's the real lesson I've taken away, is that you've got friends, you've got family, you need to listen to them. You don't have to be on your own, and you need to do something that makes you happy. And ultimately, that for a service leaver, that's being in a service type environment, which is largely construction, or as I am now, in like the ambulance, you know. That's because all this teaching and stuff, brilliant. I want to be a teacher, cool. Some guys that will suit, but it's not a military style environment. And if you thrive in that environment, you need to find yourself somewhere.
To try and replicate it.
You need to replicate it, and that is construction. That is construction. That's why I went that way, but I didn't go. End up on site. I was very lonely, and I tried making it on my own, and nearly ruined my life.
I think the reason you got 20,000-30,000 likes and comments on LinkedIn is because so many people just understood. And I think that's what's so incredibly powerful about this story. Just so many people understood what you were feeling and where you were coming from. And I think sharing that today is just really, really incredible. And a heartfelt thank you to both you, Rebecca, and Anthony, for your time today and for sharing the story so candidly and so honestly and so brilliantly. Anthony, thank you for that.
Hopefully not too much rambling.
We love a ramble here. We love a ramble. So, as you know, BuildForce do invest heavily in the mental health programme, and it's likely that many of us will struggle at some point in our life. So whether it's in our military careers or our civilian one, and I think what you've said is help is there and people do care. So if you do need our help or want to chat, please get in touch with the BuildForce team. I'll share our details. Or if you would like to chat with Bernie, share your experience, get that cuddle, we're definitely happy to arrange this for you. And Anthony, some wise words I think you did put on one of your responses on LinkedIn was, it was a hard journey made easier with support, and that was from your incredible family. So listen, best wishes to you all. Thank you, Bernie, for joining us today. And everyone, please look after yourself, and please just stop and take a moment and ask how you're feeling. Thank you.
Bye-bye.